Sports for Real with Coach Hall. Well, it's official. The University of Colorado is now going back to the Big 12. That is not a surprise to me, but what is a surprise is that it seems like everybody's trying to get away from the Pac-12. First, USC and UCLA stunned everybody by joining the Big 10 effective next season. It was rumors out that Oregon was trying to follow, and now you see what Colorado has done. As far as Colorado goes, I had a problem with them going to the Pac-12 in the first place. So them going back to the Big 12, it's kind of like going home to them. And that plays a part into the point I'm going to make overall. But my question is, why is everybody trying to get away from the Pac-12? Well, there's several reasons for that. First of all, they have yet to cement a big TV deal, which plays into the money pot, which everybody seems to want to stick their hands in. That's part of the reason why the two LA schools left for the Big 10. And the second reason is the Super Conference, also going back to USC and UCLA. And everybody wants to get into these big conferences because these big conferences seem to be drawing all the money. But the problem is, even if you got more money, as you start adding teams, yeah, you might get a little bit more than what you were getting in your old conference, but you have to share it with more people now. But the downside of all of that, now that you have joined these big super conferences, you still have to play. And that's what the problem is. What do you mean by that? Well, you got a lot of blue bloods, like I won't name any schools, but schools that are used to winning on a big level. You know, they have a certain format to where they set their schedules up and where they win games. They're used to winning at a high level. But when you start mixing with other blue bloods, you're not going to be as successful as you used to be. And if that goes on for too long, your fans are going to start looking around and say, we long for the old days. What are the old days? Well, you win a few games in front of the old faithful. You have a big competitive situation with your rival, and you make a little bit of money. And that also begins the call for going back to smaller conferences. And that's where the Pac-12 comes in. They're probably going to go all the way down to near extinction if they don't turn around and come up with some ideas real fast. They're going to be facing extinction. But if they can hold on for about 5 or 6 years after this super conference craze blows over, everybody's going to be jumping out of those super conferences going back to places like the Pac-12. So it is something to keep your eyes on. So as the craze picks up in the next year or two, notice how some of the blue bloods are going to start falling off and the fans are going to start complaining. That's going to lead for the call for them to go back to smaller conferences because it really doesn't matter. In the end, all schools really want to do is win a few games, compete with their rivals, and make a lot of money. If you get into these super conferences and you become just the average Joe, because you're always going to have the same one or two teams that's going to compete and win everywhere they go. We're talking about the Alabamas and the Ohio States. They're going to win wherever they go. But you got some middle tier teams that may fall off the map. And that's going to be concerning to a lot of the fan base. So that is my take on the future of the Pac-12. Eventually, they will rise again. Sports for Real.